Story 1 of 8. Major fire at Geelong oil refinery threatens Australia's fuel supply amid global crisis. Major fire at Geelong oil refinery threatens Australia's fuel supply amid global crisis. Here's what every outlet agrees on. A fire broke out at the Viva Energy refinery in Corio, Geelong, on April 15, 2026, around 11:05 p.m., triggered by explosions and flames. The fire was contained to a 30m x 30m area initially but later expanded to 50 square meters, and was extinguished by midday April 16, 2026, after 12 to 13 hours. The refinery supplies 50% of Victoria's fuel and 10% of Australia's total fuel, with a capacity of 120,000 barrels of oil per day. The fire started in the Mogas, motor gasoline, section of the refinery due to an equipment failure, involving a leak of liquid hydrocarbons and gases. No injuries or deaths were reported among firefighters, refinery workers, or the public, though smoke affected nearby suburbs. But not all outlets told the same story. The ABC and SMH report the fire was extinguished by midday April 16, 2026, while The Guardian and News.com.au mention it took 12 to 13 hours to extinguish, with The Guardian specifying 13 hours. The ABC and SMH state the fire was contained to a 30m x 30m area initially, but the SMH later reports the damage footprint was 50 square meters, while the ABC does not mention this specific measurement. The Guardian and News.com.au suggest the fire could lead to a mini Strait of Hormuz closure in Victoria, while the ABC and SMH emphasize the impact will be primarily on petrol production rather than a full supply disruption. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, News.com.au, SBS News, Sydney Morning Herald and The Age. Story 2 of 8. Double school shootings in Turkey kill 9, injure 13+, shooter linked to Elliot Rodger. Double school shootings in Turkey kill 9, injure 13+, shooter linked to Elliot Rodger. Here's what every outlet agrees on. At least 9 people, including 8 children, were killed in a school shooting in Kahramanmaraş province on April 15, 2026, with 13 others injured. The shooter was a 14-year-old 8th grade student who used 5 guns and 7 magazines, killing himself after the attack. The shooter's father, a former police officer named Uygur Mersenli, was detained, and authorities suspect he provided the weapons. The attack occurred in southeastern Turkey, with students fleeing by jumping from windows and running through courtyards. Videos show about 15 gunshots in a 1.5-minute clip. This was Turkey's second school shooting in 2 days, following an attack in Sanliurfa province on April 14, 2026, where a former student wounded 16 before killing himself. But not all outlets told the same story. Article 1 states the shooter was believed to be aged 13 or 14, while Article 2 confirms he was an 8th grade student aged 14, with no ambiguity. Article 1 mentions the shooter killed himself before the chaos, while Article 2 states it was not yet clear whether this was suicide or happened amid the chaos. This story was covered by ABC News and News.com.au. Story 3 of 8. Personal reflection on envy triggered by friend's new house purchase. Personal reflection on envy triggered by friend's new house purchase. Here's what every outlet agrees on. The author experienced envy after seeing friends announce the purchase of a big, flashy, 5-bedroom house complete with manicured gardens and pool. The author's own house is described as a forever home that has brought joy, peace, and security since purchase. The author visited the friend's new house and initially braced for envy but instead felt happiness for them. The author's latest book, ** by Mercedes Messier *, explores themes of envy and jealousy among old friends on Kangaroo Island, South Australia. The article mentions limiting social media time as a strategy to reduce envy and comparison. This story was covered by Sydney Morning Herald and The Age. Story 4 of 8. Murder charge after woman found dead in Mareeba, far North Queensland. Murder charge after woman found dead in Mareeba, far North Queensland. Here's what every outlet agrees on. A woman was found dead at a Downs St property in Mareeba at approximately 7:15 a.m. on Thursday, April 16, 2026. Police are investigating the death and have declared a crime scene. Anyone with relevant information or vision is urged to contact police. But not all outlets told the same story. Newscomau states the man was charged with murder and misconduct of a corpse, while ABC does not mention charges or a suspect. This story was covered by ABC News and news.com.au. Story 5 of 8. Uncounted ballots trigger recount in SA's Narungga seat won by One Nation. Uncounted ballots trigger recount in SA's Narungga seat won by One Nation. Here's what every outlet agrees on. A recount in the SA seat of Narungga was ordered on April 16, 2026, after 77 unopened absent ordinary ballot papers and 4 declaration ballot papers were discovered uncounted. Chantel Thomas, One Nation, was declared the winner of Narungga by a margin of 58 votes over Tanya Stock, Liberal, on April 2, 2026, following an initial recount. The recount will take place on Friday, April 17, 2026, to determine if the result would have differed if the uncounted ballots were included. The uncounted ballots were found in 3 sealed boxes returned to the Electoral Commission of South Australia, including 81 ballots for Narungga, per Guardian, or 77 absent votes plus 4 declaration votes, per ABC Newscomau. Acting Electoral Commissioner Leah McLeay stated the result has already been declared and the recount is to ensure integrity, not to change the outcome unless legally required. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian states 81 unopened ballots were found for Narungga, while ABC and Newscomau specify 77 absent votes plus 4 declaration votes, totaling 81, but The Guardian does not mention the breakdown into absent declaration types. The Guardian reports 81 ballots were found at a Port Pirie early voting centre in Stewart, while ABC Newscomau do not mention Stewart as the location of the uncounted ballots. Newscomau claims Liberal candidate Tanya Stock was unaware of the recount announcement, while The Guardian and ABC state the Commission had notified all candidates. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, and news.com.au. Story 6 of 8. NSW's highest court strikes down anti-protest law after Bondi terror attack. NSW's highest court strikes down anti-protest law after Bondi terror attack. Here's what every outlet agrees on. The NSW Supreme Court struck down the Public Assembly Restriction Declaration, PARD, law on the 16th of April, 2026, finding it unconstitutional for impermissibly burdening freedom of political communication. The law was enacted after the Bondi Beach terror attack, which killed 15 people. The law restricted protests in parts of Sydney's CBD and eastern suburbs, including during the anti-Israeli President Isaac Herzog rally in February 2026. 3 activist groups, Palestine Action Group, PAG, Black Caucus, and Jews Against the Occupation 48, challenged the law, with Joshua Lees, PAG, and Elizabeth Jarrett, Black Caucus, as plaintiffs. The restrictions were in place for up to 14 days at a time, extended multiple times, and only lapsed on the 17th of February, 2026. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian states the law was in place during a protest against Israeli President Isaac Herzog in February, while the ABC does not specify the exact month but confirms tensions flared during his visit. The Guardian mentions the law was used to stop Paul Silva from organising a march before Hyde Park was carved out, but the ABC does not reference this specific incident. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Story 7 of 8. Australian dairy farmers face rising costs, demand milk price hikes due to Middle East war. Australian dairy farmers face rising costs, demand milk price hikes due to Middle East war. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Woolworths will pay an extra 10 cents per litre to fewer than 20 direct farmer suppliers for its Farmer's Own brand starting April 2026. Lactalis will increase milk payments by 5 cents per litre, equivalent to 64 cents kilogram milk solids, to over 800 farmer suppliers from May 1, 2026. Dairy farmers in Queensland and New South Wales are reducing production due to soaring fuel and fertilizer costs linked to the Middle East war. The price of urea fertilizer has risen from $750 to $1,400 per tonne for one farmer, Lucas Kennedy, with broader shortages reported. East AU's Milk Advocacy Group is pushing for a 30-cent per litre increase in supermarket milk prices, 15 cents for farmers, 15 cents for processors. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC reports Woolworths will absorb the extra 10 cents paid to farmers, while news.com.au states Woolworths did not confirm this to them. ABC states Norco will announce price rises after a board meeting later this month, while news.com.au does not specify a date beyond later this month. ABC mentions Maloney Dairies is not increasing prices, but does not link this to resin costs. News.com.au implies broader industry shortages may force price hikes. This story was covered by ABC News and news.com.au. Story 8 of 8. NSW prisoner mistakenly released, manhunt underway in Newcastle. NSW prisoner mistakenly released, manhunt underway in Newcastle. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Kyle Quayle, 35, was mistakenly released from Clarence Correctional Centre on Tuesday, April 15, 2026, despite being sentenced to 12 months in prison for common assault, larceny, and shoplifting on the same day. The error occurred due to an administrative mistake where staff released an inmate based on available court information. Kyle Quayle is described as 180 centimeters tall, of medium build, with black hair, brown eyes, and an unshaven face. NSW Premier Chris Minns called the incident embarrassing and stated that it shouldn't happen in 2026 with biometric and identification tools available. Police issued a statewide alert and expanded the search area from Newcastle to Taree after Quayle was last seen at the Newcastle interchange. But not all outlets told the same story. Article 1 states Quayle was arrested in Newcastle on April 16, 2026, but Articles 2 and 3 do not mention his arrest, only the manhunt. Article 1 mentions Quayle was last seen at the Newcastle interchange on April 16, while Article 2 states he was mistakenly released earlier in the week, April 15. This story was covered by ABC News and news.com.au.